Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is going to be on this beanie. Now there's a few things that you can do a little bit differently, and we'll get into that as we move along. So you will see the crown of this will be in a different colorway, as well as the body of this beanie, because I break it down into a couple of different sections. So the things that you'll need is 2 colors of worsted weight and a matching hook. Now for my hook and yarn, I did use a little bit heavier of a worsted weight, so I chose to go with a 6mm crochet hook. Generally, I use a 5.5 with a standard worsted weight, and I am more of a loose crocheter than most, so that way that might help you judge your tension and your hook size a little bit better. You may have to go up several hook sizes if you're a tight crocheter. So the beginning of this, you will need your main color to do the crown, and it's a simple increase: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then we go into a 2-round repeat. So then I will show you the 2 rounds, and then at the end you can work off this edge, or you could go on to do a ribbed edge of a 1x1 ribbing, completely up to you. So here you will need a pair of scissors, a needle to sew in your ends, a stitch marker to mark the end and the beginning of your rounds. So we're going to go ahead and start with the crown, and then we'll jump in and I'll have another color of yarn to show you how to work up these 2 rounds, and then this trim here. Now this trim here at the bottom is a little bit different, but it does have a little bit of a design to it. So, and the hat is squishy and thick. It does take a little bit longer to work up because these are very short rows. All right, let's go ahead and get into working up that crown. All right, so once you have the crown worked up, we're now going to work on the body of this hat. And it is, as I said earlier, it is a 2-round repeat. Now for this particular one that I'll be working up, I will be using a purple and a pink, and that's in a DK. I'm doing it in just a small form for you, but they both are Premier Fable. And let's see. The purple color is Little Mermaid, and the pink color is Princess and the Pea. All right, this here was some older Red Heart. I can't remember what it was called. It was the thicker I love this something. I don't remember what it was. And then the white was one from Hobby Lobby. All right. So for this particular crown, as I said, I will be doing it in a smaller form. All right. So those of you that like to do a magic loop, now's your time to shine. Those of us that like to do a chain 4 and slip stitch to that first chain, here we go. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to slip stitch to that very first chain to create a ring to work in. Now I do work over the top of my tail, so that way I can use it to cinch up the ring. Now, I also do what is known as a mock double crochet, or some have called it a freestanding double crochet. I'm going to go through it real slow with you the very first time, or you can just do the chain 2 or chain 3, or chain 1 and double crochet. However you would do a starting stitch as a double crochet and you're most comfortable, feel free to do so. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to be doing it, so that way when you see me do it throughout the pattern, you'll know what I'm doing. So I draw up a loop to the height of a double crochet, and I place my finger on that loop and I hold it so that way I can slide it back and forth, but it doesn't go around that hook. So I'm holding it nice and tight. I'm going to bring my hook towards me, down and under and back up. That gives us the appearance of 2 loops on our hook. We're going to come around and stick our hook into that ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. We now have the appearance of 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through 2. Now this loop you're holding is the top of that mock double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and go through those last 2 and place our stitch marker into the top of that mock double crochet. So right there underneath that loop we were holding. Now we're going to place 9 more double crochets into this ring, giving us a total of 10 double crochets when we slip stitch to our very first stitch. So I'm going to work on my 10 and I'll be right back. All right, so now we've made our 10 double crochets. At this time, you can pull that closed and sew in your tail if you so choose. You can wait until you're completely done to do that if you would like. Now we're going to place 2 double crochets in every single stitch all the way around for round 2. That will give us a total of 20 stitches for round 2. So just 2 double crochets in every single stitch all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and replace my stitch marker. There we are. And 2 double crochets in every stitch. I'll meet up with you after you have your 20 double crochets. All right, so round 3 is 30 double crochets. So we're going to 2 in the first one. Replace my stitch marker back into that first one. And 1 into the next. So that's what your repeat is for round 3. You're going to place 2 double crochets into the next stitch and 1 into the following. And repeat that all the way around for a total of 30 stitches for round 3. Moving on to round 4. Round 4, you will have 40 double crochets. So we're going to place 2 in the first stitch. 1 and 2. Replace my stitch marker. And 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And that is our repeat. 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Go ahead and continue around with that repeat for round 4. You will have 40 double crochets. I'll meet up with you at the end. All right, for round 5, which is 50 double crochets, we're going to place 2 double crochets into our very first stitch. And then 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And that will be our repeat all the way around for round 5 for a total of 50 double crochets. So 2 double crochets into the next stitch and 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches for your repeat. All right, I'll meet up with you after we both have 50 stitches. All right, round 6 is our last increasing round, and we will have 60 double crochets. So we are going to place 2 double crochets into the very first stitch and 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. And that will be your repeat for the round. Two double crochets into the next, and 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. Again, at the end of round 6, you will have a total of 60 stitches. I will meet up with you at the end, and we will move on to round 1 of our pattern round. All right, so once you have the crown worked up, we're now going to work on the body of this hat. And it is, as I said earlier, it is a 2-round repeat. Now for this particular one that I'll be working up, I will be using a purple and a pink. And that's in a DK. I'm doing it in just a small form for you. But they both are Premier Fable. And let's see. The purple color is Little Mermaid, and the pink color is Princess and the Pea. All right. All right, so when I finish my last stitch, I'm actually going to pick up my contrasting color, my secondary color, to finish the last stitch. That way I'm ready to go with my new color. All right. Pull it through and through. Tighten that last stitch up. All right. So for this round, we're going to chain 1 and half double crochet back into that same stitch. And place your stitch marker in the top of that stitch. So that way you know that that is the beginning of your round. Now we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Half double into the next and slip stitch into the next. That is your repeat all the way around. Half double into the next stitch and then slip stitch into the next stitch. And you're going to continue that all the way around. And when we slip stitch to our very first stitch, we're going to pick up our main color here and finish that stitch up. Finish it completely. I'll be back at that point. So I've come to the end of my pattern round 1, and I'm going to pick up my main color and slip stitch to that very first stitch using my main color, and then tighten down that contrasting color tail just so that way it snugs it up. Remove my stitch marker for a moment. Now this is repeating round 2. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go back into that same stitch, yarn over, and slip stitch. Replace your stitch marker on top of that slipped stitch. And that will let you know that that is the beginning of the round. Now we're going to go into the next stitch with a double crochet. And then slip stitch into the next stitch. And double crochet into the next. And you're just repeating these 2 stitches all the way around. Slip stitch into the next. And double crochet into the next. And you're going to continue that all the way around. You're going to repeat those 2 rounds for however many times it takes to make this hat as tall as you want it to be. It could be 8 inches tall, it could be 10 inches tall, whatever you so choose. Now, if I'm doing a ribbing around it, a 1x1 ribbing around it, I generally go 6 to 8 inches from the top of the hat to where I stop the pattern part of the body of the hat. Then I continue on with the brim. In this case, I went ahead and worked the body all the way down to where I'm going to be working the brim. So I did approximately 9.5 inches in height, and then I worked 1 row around the edge to finish it off. I'm going to work a couple more repeats, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I did this last round, and we'll add in the 1x1 ribbing if you want to do that. All right, so after you've done the amount of rounds that you want to do to make your hat the size you want to make it, if you're going to finish it off like I did here, this is how you're going to do it. So we're going to go ahead, and we've already switched back to our main color. That's the one key thing that you want to do, is end on a round that you're going to start the last round in your main color. If you so choose. If you want to do it differently, that's perfectly okay as well. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that same stitch and yarn over, pull up a loop. So this is going to look like the start of a single crochet. Now, you're going to take your yarn and bring it around the front and under your hook and back around into position to work the rest of that single crochet. So your stitches are there. All you did was create this loop around them and single crochet. Now you're going to go into the next stitch and do the same thing. Yarn over, pull up a loop for like a single crochet, and bring your yarn to the front and around behind the hook to create a loop around those 2 loops that are on your hook. Yarn over and pull through to finish that off. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. It gets a little easier as you go, and the more stitches that you do, you'll realize a quicker way for you to do it. Of course, it's harder for me to do in front of the camera, but here we are. Okay. Once again, I toasted my finger in the flame doing lamp working, so yeah, it's kind of crunchy. All right, let's keep on going. Again, just bringing that yarn around behind those stitches, yarn over and pull through. It's kind of like the reverse crochet in a way. And then you'll just slip stitch to your very first stitch when you get to the end. And that gives you this really, really neat appearance to the edge. Kind of cleans it up, trims it up nicely. Now, if you want to do the 1x1 ribbing very, very easily, again, we are going to end with our main color as our next color. Now, if you want to do a 1x1 ribbing, my suggestion would be to do 1 full round of double crochet. So we're going to just place 1 double crochet in every stitch. So you're going to chain up or mock double crochet, whichever you prefer to do. And then 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. And you should continue to have the same number of stitches as your last round from your crown. Once you've made it all the way around, we are going to, now if you chain up, you're just going to slip your hook behind that first stitch and pull through and through, and then chain up to begin your front post, back post. And that will pop that very first stitch out to the front right away. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to do a front post mock double crochet. And now we're going to do a back post double crochet, and you're just going to repeat the front post, back post all the way around. And you probably need to do at least 3 to 4 rounds of front post, back post in order to have a nice brim. And you're just going to repeat that front post and back post all the way around. Slip stitch to your very first stitch, and then repeat what we did here to get that stitch to pop out as a front post, and continue working in the round. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me either in a comment down below or an email. And if you decide to do this beanie, I would love to see it. You can share it in the Facebook group. You can tag me on Instagram. You could post it in our community post that we have here on YouTube. You can email it to me. All of that information is linked down below in the description box. All right, everyone, be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.